Hey everyone, hope you're all well. Hello, hello. Morning, morning. Hope everyone's well. As always, let me know if you can or can't see me and hear me properly, and I'll try my best to troubleshoot. But I think everything looks and sounds fine. But let me know in the chat on the left. And for you people who have let me know, I can't see the chat on my right. It's because you're on your mobile phone. It shows differently, but I'm talking if you're on your computer. Got a few people on. Got quite a few people on early. Usually get about 17 under 30. Now we've got around 50, which is nice. Had some nice responses to my 2 videos this week, which is all about how guys and girls are holding, male and female, are holding each other out away like enemies. They really dislike each other. And it's almost like a person who can't help doing something they don't like. Like, say for instance, you can't stick to a diet, or you can't you keep letting yourself down. I get that feeling with a lot of men and women when you talk to them. It's fine. I'm from a different generation. I understand that. And maybe I just can't understand someone who's very young anymore. But then again, when they talk to me, they ask me questions they want to know, like they're going through stuff that I don't feel, and vice versa. So the conversation's always being had, but I'm just feeling that a lot of people are growing up in a very different world. Like when you grow up with this in your hand from birth, then the things that people talk about, like myself, about, reading and being okay with sitting still and taking things slow and not being so hyper anxious and stuff. It sounds good in theory, just like when people talk about meditation and mindfulness and all of this sort of stuff. For me, those concepts are kind of elementary. It's like, yeah, you can do them pretty easily. You just make a decision to do them, or you're just being lazy. Come on, just do it. You've rested enough. Come on, do something productive. Whereas I think for a generation that's been conditioned and taught that they don't have to do anything, they're entitled to everything. I'm not saying all of you are, but I think that we all get the perception we're rich kids growing up with the world at our feet, and any kind of speed bump is pretty rare. And you look around at your friends, and you go to school and stuff like that. Everyone's living the same cozy, glossy digital life with your imagination stimulated by groups you're with online, who you're friending. I follow X celebrity or movie star in Hollywood. Oh my God, I follow them too. Did you hear what they said? And so the people you do get in contact with, you're talking about other celebrities as though they're your group of friends, as though they're the alpha of your group celebrity, of your group, your friend group that you're following, and they're leading you, and you can all talk around them. But they don't exist. It's just very, very weird, the perception of reality from me to a generation that is so plugged in. I mean, I make a couple of videos a week, and I'm very productive with my YouTube channel and the other things I do. But there's a very big separation between me and them. Yes, I do spend a lot of time in them, but it's a place I put myself in. It's not a lifestyle. It's like when I drive my car. I may spend a lot of time in my car, and I love being in my car. But I get in my car, get out of my car. My car's not integral. It's not woven into me. Is it so? I guess I feel a very big separation, whereas I think a lot of people are completely immersed. They are their online persona, and when they're not online, they're like a marionette, sort of just thrown on the floor, like their spine goes out. Anyway, guys, enough introductory waffle. um, as always, let me, if you want to ask a question on the right, make sure you put a whole bunch of emojis before your question so I can actually see that it's a question. Oh, look, I came up on my phone as, I better not forget my own live stream, huh? Whirlwind says Human is one of my top is my top 5 best MGTOW channels. Yeah, I don't know if anyone would call me MGTOW anymore. I don't even call myself that. But it's definitely something I was proud to be called back in the golden age when we were talking stoically and sensibly, and when we did talk about women in relationships, it was in relation to us, our choices as guys, trying to set a direction for life. So it was very different. Now it's about dating today. It's all about kind of gossip, dating, schoolyard kind of stuff. The conversation isn't very mature. The words used are $100 words, monosyllabic words, but sorry, multisyllabic words. But yeah, the conversation, it's like the same 5 points. I mean, someone could argue. I've heard people in the comment section say, "Human, you just talk. Can you talk about anything else other than women?" And I feel like I talk about a whole bunch of stuff, and I reference women because that is like a baseline that everyone can understand. So when you use metaphors, metaphors are very abstract, but women and relationships and your job or what you do in your day-to-day, but particularly women, that is a very potent, okay, very real, literal connection. Because a lot of people don't do well with metaphors, or they become so abstract that they're just cool ideas. Yeah, I kind of know what you mean with the metaphor or the analogy, Human. But when I say woman, job, routines, then I think that's kind of the bridge between the theory or the concept or the philosophy and making a bridge between that. So throwing very literal things in, like woman, that's a very potent thing. Like guys will be like, yeah, I know what that is, and I know how I feel abstractly about that. Oh, it's midnight in the UK. Okay. Midnight in Ireland as well. Remember, if you want to ask questions, guys, just so that I don't miss them, put a whole bunch of emojis before your question, like at least 3 or 4, and then ask your question. Lawn Life 93 said, I accidentally pushed away the one I couldn't afford to push away. I'll be alone the rest of my life while she's rich, happy, and living the dream. You don't want to be hard on yourself. Look, we can always look at the past and live there and lament, but they're not coming back. And even if you get a second chance, they are not coming back. That past version of her and you. I have bumped into exes of the past a few times, and let me tell you, they are completely different. I'm completely different. And you've heard some. Remember, there was an episode on Seinfeld where George goes back with his ex, and while he's walking up the stairs, he starts kind of getting down, and he realizes, "Oh my God, I'm back here again." Then you start realizing why you left. If everything was so great that you were prepared to throw it away, it must have been so meaningful, the reason to break up, that is the thing we forget. Our brains aren't our best friends. They want to go back to what's biologically imperative for it to sort of go back and procreate with this person, to nest. And so they make you forget all the bad times. And also, it's not your best friend. It wants to keep you safe and still. Not safe as in like what's best for you, but inert. Inert and ineffectual, and your life being, it doesn't matter if you don't feel alive. Your survival brain, or that voice inside your head, it wants you back with the memory, because the past, your brain actually thinks the past is the place to be because you're alive in the past. Remember that. Whenever your brain thinks about your past and your exes, it loves living in the past because you were alive then. You're alive now, but we don't know about tomorrow. So safety is in the past. That's why your brain thinks about those things, and why it conveniently edits out the bad parts of your relationship. Nicholas said, what style of skateboarding did you get into when that's what you enjoyed? I was very young when I was into skateboarding. We didn't have like those skate parks that kids enjoy today. There's a lot of stuff kids have the opportunity to do today. There's a lot, man. Not just the internet, video games, skateboarding. Just there's so much as a candy store compared to the limited stuff I had. We had to use our imagination and make up a lot. The skateboarding I enjoyed was basically not tricks on ramps, but it was basically I'm saying basically a fair few times, aren't I? It was riding the skateboard around streets and trying to do little jumps, make your own little ramps and things like that. But that was about the extent of jumps. No tricks. Nothing like that. But the style of skateboard, it was, if you look back to like the 70s and 80s, look back at popular, normal commercial skateboards, it was one of those very stiff, basic wooden skateboard. And I think I remember I made one as well. I think I bought a cheap one. I took the board off and I put a wooden one on there. I can't remember. Did my dad actually cut it out and make it for me so I could put it together? That was the other thing. I liked making things much more when I was younger, and then that faded out when I hit puberty. Surprise, surprise. Jeff says, human, what if you have a young woman that wants nothing but to make you happy, 24 years younger, someone that is innocent and places you in a position of mentor? Would you accept your future? Yeah, but if you don't enjoy spending time with her, you got nothing in common, if the only prize you can hold up is safety, like she's going to treat you well. I think it's similar to some guys that they go overseas to Thailand and they get a wife. You're happy with not having a lot of extra stuff, but if the main thing that you dearly wanted and you didn't get from Western women, you get from women in Thailand, you get from a very young woman, they haven't been corrupted by the West, then if that's the thing that really kind of gives you 80% of a happy life with a person, then go for it. You need to decide what's workable for you. So I guess that's the question. I think I need to increase my audio just a bit. Am I coming through loud and clear, guys? Or should it be a bit louder? I think if I do it too loud, it's like this. It's a bit too much. There we go. I think that's fine. Feral Male says, perhaps the problem is that boys are being raised with a female entitlement mindset, which simply doesn't work for humans of the male persuasion. Everything that they're shoving down men's throats today is a female script. Look, men always try and adjust themselves to what women want, but there was always a separation between men and women. So you would adjust yourself to what a woman wanted to be with her, and it was okay because you had your own world, you had your own authority, and there was a separation between men and women, and we both respected that separation, even if we didn't understand it. Like, sure, women love flowers, women love this romantic stuff that I don't get. I might think it's childish, but when I kind of sprinkle that through our life, and she really appreciates it, it's kind of a spice that just elevates my world. It's kind of the one of the small bits of glue, the superficial small bits of glue that she wants. That, yeah, when I do it, she loves it. I don't get it, she loves it. So, like a woman understanding you might like sports and football, and she doesn't. Rather than getting annoyed, it's like, oh, what are you watching that for, human? Oh my God, can you turn that off? You know how dumb that is? So, everything does not need to reflect you. If the other person has the essential qualities of values and personality and things like that that really fit with you and you really enjoy spending time with them, they really seem like a best friend that you can spend all day with and that you can trust, then who cares if they like a slightly different food than you? Who cares if their movies are different to yours? As long as you can accommodate each other. Yeah, I'll watch a romantic piece of trash with her, and she'll watch a science fiction movie that she doesn't like with me. And this is the whole point. Does the other person want to give? And giving is, I'll watch science fiction with you because I care about you. I'll watch a romantic movie, not because I like it, but because I like you. So it's the degree to which you can see the other person wants to give, wants to do things for you, wants to do things for the two of you. Anel says, human, me and my little brother are having arguments over you. He prefers the fresh and fit type content where I prefer you. Well, he's your little brother. The fresh and fit are more for a younger generation, I suppose. And that's how they're working their things out. Well, it makes you think as well. In our time, people were a bit more sensible. Today, I think we're very emotional, and men and women are getting together and acting much more like the schoolyard, even as adults, as young adults. Both men and women used to man up and woman up. Once you started to get your driver's license, I think there was this sense of like, I'm growing up, I'm moving out. But now people are living at home forever. Even if they move out, they're living at home. The government's their parents. Everything's taken care of. You're not going to really be homeless. When you've always got Netflix, a phone, the internet, and you've got a la la land to escape in, you are never really fearful of the streets. Your survival is really not at risk. You make up a lot of fear that's not there. But there was a big separation of leaving the nest with your parents and then becoming an adult on your own. And now it's kind of like, I can't just sort of jerk around and be a moron. I need to get a job. Not for women, for myself. But now if you live at home, it's like, okay, do I get a job for women? It's like, and then why should I? And then when you get stuck in that non-growing up mode, for you, not for them, but grow up so you can take another step to another chapter of your life where you can grow as a person, then you get the things from that chapter. But you can't stay on the first or second chapter and then kind of cross your arms, refusing to turn the page and like yelling at everyone else to turn the page for you and telling them how the story should be and blaming them for it. He says, where is he? Yeah. He says he prefers fresh and fit content. I prefer you, Spetsnaz, Stardust, and Kevin Samuels. He says your stuff is fine, but not for younger guys. Well, yeah, I don't know the conversation, but I'd have to probably agree. Look, I think that broadening, like if the person's talking things that kind of, if you're going through frustrations and a young guy might not like my content, but maybe one or two things kind of prick their curiosity. It's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I haven't heard that before. From when I was young, I liked what I liked, and it might have been young and juvenile, but sometimes I'd hear some elder, someone smarter, who may have been more of my kind of person, or said something that related to my experience or my frustration now. And it's like, ooh, cool. I found something in it. It was like something, a secret you found, like, oh, this is mine. No one else has heard this. And you start cherry picking more and more of those. You start branching out more. If you stay in a small echo chamber, your own clubhouse, even we talked about earlier, the MGTOW, like even back in the golden age, we didn't stay in there. We talked around the same things, but people were always referencing philosophy, science, biology, and bringing it to the table with the subject they were talking about in the videos. And people in the comment section were giving more mature responses. Like what I'm proud of, most of my comment section is like that. But there used to be, if you did whatever content, you'd have a similar style of mature response in the comment section. You don't only have rare emotional. You know what the difference is? I could say in one word. The male space today online looks like entertainment, whereas back then the male space was information and mentoring. That is the main difference. Where what I came from and what was practical and ethically applicable, where it could be useful in your life with women, with what choices you'd make in life, how you wanted to be a guy going your way, it would be really applicable information. Stuff that you would, get a pad out and you would write things down and you would ruminate and you would start to become a philosopher with a lowercase p, and then become a philosopher with the uppercase P, and then become your own mentor and your own leader. Now it's entertainment. It's Big Brother. It's like, people with bunches of microphones with girls there saying, look how dumb you are. No, you're dumb, shouting over each other. It is reality TV. It's entertainment. It's trying to compete with each other. Men and women are competing. Back in the golden age of MGTOW, we weren't competing with women. We were trying to understand ourselves in relation to what women were becoming and this unfair world, the way it was becoming. Now, people don't care about that. It's just like, yeah, I want to hook up and you're stupid. No, you're stupid. It is so schoolyard, and it's just more frustration. But they've got that one mode. Schoolyard entertainment, Big Brother, reality TV. And where I came from was, you could reference it, you could show a video, but it was like, here are my thoughts about it. Here are the ethical implications. If this happens, ABC. If it doesn't happen, XYZ. So it's a bit more kind of bringing it to you, to what you think, what you should think, and what you might be able to take away. And then you use that in how you conduct your life, how you speak, how you improve as a person. So yeah, look, I get it. There's a big divide. I understand young people less and less, but if young people want to listen, and like, I'll listen to a young guy that wants to at least listen to me, try and make sense of it and see what he can take away, or not, maybe nothing, but then I listen to him. But if you get a sense of like, they don't care about what you say, they're stuck in their mode of, I want women, but I can't stand them, they frustrate me, and they just want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about, okay, what dial can you turn in that conversation between you and the thing you're frustrated with to make the picture clearer? How can you turn that dial? No. It's like a female conversation between guys now and women. It's like, no, I want to turn that dial to make the picture even fuzzier and louder and more frustrating and ear piercing, because, oh my God, look how ridiculous and loud it is. It's like, yeah, when are you going to turn it down, dude? When are you going to make the picture clearer? So that's the big difference. People are getting off on the female version of reality TV. They pretend to sit in groups and with microphones and like listen to women and listen to guys, but it's a schoolyard. It's not the conversation of Charlie Rose, where people would be respectfully on opposite sides of the spectrum talking about a philosophical solution. There's no kind of moral philosophy being kind of discussed and respectfully listened to, and each person's point of view is being conveyed, and maybe each party can actually learn something. No, it's like, this is my camp, and I'm going to defend it, and that's your camp, and you're going to defend it. Mr. Highway, hey man. He says, early start today, I see. No, unless it's become daylight savings for you. Our daylight savings started about, I think, a month ago. Maybe clocks have changed in your area. Men's Health Space morning. Craig says, I don't want a second chance. Financially, I was her sponsor, not her husband. Well, that's another point. Pete says, it's amazing. Youngish dudes, 80% of them have little to no experience dating, even kissing, even holding hands with a girl. Just a couple of decades ago, dating was real different. Thoughts? Oh, yeah. I just did a conversation that I'll release in the coming week or so with Boffin. We were going to talk about the difference between dating in this time and my time, but we talked a lot about the difference in times and perception. But we're going to do a conversation where we're really relaying, because I came from dating pre-internet at all, no internet. So mine was like dating just as mobile phones came out, then dating when the internet came out, and then online dating. So there was only dating sites on the internet, and you had to be in front of a computer. Then all of a sudden, social media in the early 2000s. Then that was a massive change. Like everything else was like a gradual change, and then all of a sudden it was like bang. It was like a light switch. The social interaction, like it was an avalanche. It was like it was like, say, pre-2019, what the world was like, and then the world just got shut into its own little bubble. You couldn't go anywhere. You were quarantined. It was basically like that. It was an abrupt change within like a couple of years. The world changed forever. So yeah, I'll be releasing a couple of conversations, I'd say, with Boffin, because he's a bit older than me, and it was a nice conversation talking about the differences we've lived through and seen. So it's not just, see, this generation just listens to older guys because all they know is their life now, and none of it resembles. There's so little of it that resembles any past generation. Because I could still relate to someone to some degree that lived 100 years before me, because men and women sort of related similarly. There were differences, but a lot of things were the same. A lot of things, they just were a bit polished. The technology might have changed drastically, but the social interaction, the human interaction, there was an adjustment. Now it's like we're almost a different species to what we were a few generations ago. And the environment, the technology, has really played a big part, compounded with the powers that be that are using it to puppeteer us. John says, hello mate, London calling, would love to hear your thoughts on Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. I don't know very much about what I see in passing. I don't follow the news. I certainly don't follow tabloid media. All I hear is anything about celebrity gossip. I hear it through family and friends who do follow it and waste their time on it. I think Prince Harry's a moron from what I've seen. He's basically supplicated himself and she's wearing the pants. I feel sorry for the guy, but then part of me doesn't feel sorry for it because he's a guy that's thrown everything away and he continues to. He's, she's got him wrapped around his finger. So, yeah, for you guys who follow Tabloid, he's pointing to these ridiculous celebrity examples are great to point to and laugh at, like I said, but if all you do is use them for entertainment, it is pointless, guys. What are you getting from it? You can hold up an atomic bomb as long as it apophatically teaches you to, okay, I'm very clear about this now. I'm never going to try this again. But what do guys do? I think a lot of guys do, what they do is they hold up celebrities at extremes. So it gives them a license to go about dating with their eyes closed and saying, well, since I'm not a celebrity, that can't possibly happen to me because their lives are so far away from me. So I can let go and be lazy and just date however I want without thinking. I think that's what a lot of people do. So they follow celebrities like extreme entertainment and do not relate any of the human aspects that might be occurring between these dysfunctional celebrities. And really, how many of them are functional? And they don't actually take anything, any kind of morality out of it. Quasi-Mandias, how are you, man? Hope you're well. He says, generally speaking, it seems we seek the pleasure we expect the other to bring, but couldn't care less about the person that brings it. Yes. It's like they're a pizza delivery person. It's like, they're going to bring me my pizza. Oh, I can't wait. It's great. It's like you have to order the pizza delivery person as well. You're bringing them into your world as well. That's a good way of putting it. I'm going to pin that. Quaz. PJ says, have you ever read books written by Osho? No, I've watched the documentary and seen a few clips. Look, he's one of these things I can see why he got a lot of followers. This is why I tell guys to learn to think for themselves and how they think and how they write and how they speak and stuff. It's because then you can more sensibly cherry pick from people that say truths. So Osho said a lot of very sensible truths. But if you take him as your leader, as your God, and you just switch your brain off and you're just like a dog with a collar being led by a master, that's not healthy. Everyone's being led around today by the powers that be, by women, by everything. Like men are pretty much, unless they're consciously aware and trying to live by their own conscious proximal moral philosophy day by day, like training, like diet, and seeing the rewards of that and having the will to do that. These leaders, they should be people you reflect on, listen to, and then come back and as your own leader process and have conversations, but not, you don't deify them. You don't bow down in front of them. Some of them might be impressive. People might speak well. They might present better than you, but what can you learn? Because they're not going to lead you. They don't give a crap about you. What can you take so you can lead yourself? That's the important question. Whoever's impressive, whoever speaks some truths are like, oh, great. I wish I had a friend like that. I wish I had a father who spoke some things like that. What can you keep taking from them and listening to them, but realizing that they're their person and you're you, and you don't really know them, especially the more distant and celebrity they are. So from what I've read and seen, seems like a switched on guy, but be very, very careful because from the documentary I saw how things worked out as well. Again, what do you believe? What don't you believe? Is the documentary spinning in a way to make him look bad? I think the things happened, but yeah, I don't know too much about him. Ted1775 says, Human, you were amped up in your video about the end of love and relationships. Yeah, I just got into one of those modes. I think because I had a flood of ideas that were kind of just coming one after the other, and I just was expressing them. Whereas like my very last short video, I was in a very kind of relaxed mood, and I just had one thought, but it was just one particular thought about how one aspect of men and women holding each other back, and you see the holding back in public is like people are keeping, like, you're going to take something from me. So that was the only concept. Whereas the one about the end of relationships, you know, I listened to the conversation between Richard Grannon and Sam Vaknin. I had my own thoughts. So I had a lot of things that I jotted down. Whereas my last one about the feeling of what the other person might take from you, that's the thing that's keeping you in your cage and desensitizing you from relationships with other people. That was just one very specific, but I thought a singular, specific, worthwhile thing to make a video about. So it's not lost amongst a whole bunch of other things, because I think it's very important. How many times are we afraid? And whatever the primal fear is in that interaction with someone, that keeps you from everything else. So that's a very important thing to sort of realize in and of itself. Roman says, Morning Human, what's going on there in the manosphere? This week I saw two men out and about wearing dresses. Where do you live, Roman? What's going on? It's not the first time I've seen this. Oh, here in Melbourne. Really? Where? Fitzroy? Collingwood? I tell you, I don't see it anywhere in this area. I don't think anyone would be brave enough. This is a very working class to left-leaning working class neighborhood, as in like left to more poor, not left to rich. So a lot of families where I live. So yeah, that wouldn't go well here. I'm guessing where you saw it in Melbourne would be closer to the inner city, where a lot of single men, you know, progressive singles live, artistic types, things like that. You saw it twice, or did you see it once? Two men wearing dresses. It makes you think how everything's leaning towards, oh, men can wear dresses, men can do this. Like everything is like make men into women, make men into women, make men into women, and then on the other end of the spectrum is make women into men, make women into men. It's like we're trying to make, as Sam and Richard talked about, we make it into one unigender. Who cares that we can't get together anymore? Maybe that's the point. It's a way of isolating us. By thinking we're empowering each other. Like, I don't need them. I'm going to make a great singular life, and I'm going to put up the barricades so nobody gets in. My relationships are without any kind of tactility. They're all virtual. Hydrostatic says, talking about relationships gets meh. Maybe it's time to move on to new obsession. It's not an obsession. Relationships are the foundations of life. One of the, like, conceptually, that's one thing you could talk, like, you could frame it as. Like everything, I've always said, I think everything in your life is a relationship. That concept, when I came up with that for myself, it was a very simple revelation to me that made everything easier. Everything is a relationship, and how conscious am I in tending to that garden and being good to it, giving to my relationships, but also receiving. So what I put in, trusting my instinct that am I getting back? The videos I make, you know, do I get the interaction, the growth, the community, the conversation? Do I get enjoyment back? If I'm not getting anything back, why? How much am I getting back? What do I expect? Am I expecting too much? So My filter is that everything is in my life is a relationship. So sorry, no, I'm always going to be in one way or another talking about a relationship, and I am obsessed with it because it gives my life a lot of clarity and meaning. Now, other guys, all their relationship is with women. So that's how I see things. Hello from Canada. Hello from Melbourne. Just the guy says, if you've pushed her away, you had your reasons. She was not perfect and things were not paradise. Otherwise, you'd still be together. Own your decision. Own your decision up and move on. Yeah. And even if you're a different person, you might be thinking, well, I want a second chance because I've changed and she's... Yeah. But there's something about that residual relationship that stays there because you're only going back because you knew them. How many times has people, I don't know if it's happened to you, where you knew someone in childhood and then you catch up later on and it's not the same old times anymore. They're very, very different. We all change. It's a matter of being conscious about where you are now. That's why I'm very interested in my proximal relationship, how I'm relating to the world at the moment, and then leaning forward, the consequences of this relationship now, here, carrying it over, that it makes sense, and continuing to keep that steam engine going. Moonshot says, Human, how can we protect ourselves if things go south in our relationship in regards to finances? Keep finances separate. And anyone, male or female, that pressures you into exposing your finances, you have to ask, like, why? Why do you need to know? Why do you need to have access to my finances? If that's the only way that they can feel sure about you, then they're not sure about you. This is the thing, from even back before the internet and online dating, I never saw a problem with prenups, even though they don't work, they don't make a difference in courts. But women who get annoyed, like, oh, you don't trust me, it's like, it didn't make sense to me. So I'd say to the girl, so you're saying you will never ever take money from me and you're not interested in my money? And she'll say, correct. Or she probably wouldn't be smart enough to say correct. She'd say, like, yeah. And then I'd say, okay, then we both think money shouldn't be an issue. Let's take it off the table then. So if it doesn't matter to you, let's take it off the table. Yeah, but you should be able to... No, this is what they wanted to kind of, to annoy you. Like, oh, I got my finger on it. I could pull the lever any moment. So what does that do? It's like, oh, behave. Then you modify. You start censoring yourself and acting on her behalf and never being free and acting like who. So you're always trying to make her happy unless she pulls that lever of your finances because she's got control. She wants control over you financially because she knows that really, for a guy, his financial situation is the big thing for him. Whereas a woman, she cares about her body. She can always take her body away when she leaves the relationship. You can't. So take money off the table. And any woman who says, well, you should be able to trust me. This is the thing. I've said it before where, say, for instance, you've got a fear. If your partner loves you and cares about you, say you say, you know, my biggest fear is spiders, right? They freak me out. I get into panic attacks and whatever. And your partner should do everything to ameliorate that fear, to push it away and protect you from it and make sure you're always happy and you never feel any stress about it. Not the partner dangling a fake spider and going, oh, are you afraid of this? Well, no, I won't touch you, I promise, but oh. Like, that kind of person is an asshole. That kind of person is not someone you need. So if you worry about money as a guy, and today most guys do, it's like you could risk a relationship where you could kind of recover to some degree afterwards and build your life again. But if you cannot recover, and she's going to destroy you, and she's happy making you nervous by having her finger on that trigger, or a finger on the button or hand on the lever, then you've got to ask yourself, why is she getting her rocks off by having that power over you? That's something you've got to really ask yourself. If she cannot help help you with your fear, realize that, okay, this person's really worried about this. I'm going to do everything I can to make them feel good about it with me. But if they say, no, I don't care how uncomfortable you are, you're afraid of spiders, I'm going to compound your fear of spiders. How about that? I don't care how you feel. I don't care if you have even more panic attacks. Yeah, really think about why they have the issue. So with money, take it off the table. And if the person doesn't want to, they want you to be fearful because they have control of the money, that should tell you a lot about them. You can't protect yourself. If relationships fail, you can't protect yourself. But what you should be able to try and protect yourself and have an open conversation with a person is, look, you want to retain a bit for yourself, and especially finances. At the end of a relationship, that's the stuff that really betrays people. Someone cheats, someone doesn't love someone anymore, people go their separate ways. But when people can take extra, they can take the last 20 years of your life in what you've made and saved and worked for. At the end, they not only take the relationship away, they take the last 20 years of your life before them away, or whatever you've done on your own. That is a real betrayal. That's really nasty and cruel, and they don't give a crap. In their eyes, they don't see that. They just see it like, good, that's what they deserve. They ruined my relationship. But they don't actually see you as a separate person going, well, their relationship's ruined as well. They're not having a great time. The social media is conditioning a lot of narcissistic people, and as such, a lot of unempathetic people. And so when relationships end, they have zero empathy for your situation. They actually feel good in punishing you. They get their rocks off. They're like girls in the schoolyard backstabbing other people. They laugh and get highs off of suffering that they inflict. But they see themselves as angels. They are insane. So take off the table whatever you can so you feel safe in the relationship. That's basically it. So if the other person requires you to feel unsafe so they can feel safe, so it's only about what they need and how they feel safe, but they don't give a crap about your safety and your good feelings, I would say run. They don't care about you. They just care about themselves in the relationship. They don't care about a relationship with you. They don't see you, and they don't care about you at all. All these women that just want to, it's like, I want you to see me. I want you to love me. What about me? Me, my relationship. Like, no, have it on your own, babe. New Games Plus, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. He says, his comment is, while I agree with the self-improvement aspects of the sphere and the RP community, I wonder if we're simultaneously pushing the unreasonable standards of women higher. Good. Women, and then as such, men who accommodate women, because men are downstream from women in terms of dating. Women adjust themselves to be what women want. Women's standards are so low, there is virtually no feminine in women left other than their bodies. So men are just wanting to get with bodies. Men want to have a porno experience with women and try and make a relationship out of it. So women ethically, morally, their social standards with each other, they don't hold each other to any standards. It is really low. And like, they don't have to change for me, fine. Change it for yourself. So when you say, are we pushing unreasonable standards for women today? Yeah, they're very unreasonable. But what our standards are just, don't be a CUNT. Don't bust my chops. Be a friend, be a nice person, and that's it. Just be a respectful, nice person that lives by the golden rule. Can you do that? No. Like a basic human standard, like a doorway through which any kind of meaningful relationship is almost impossible to have. Like, you're expected, the baseline of most women is this sassy, pushy, obstreperous, combative, challenging, like what is this? Like a CEO's position in a job where I've got all this stress and draining aspect. Like, what? No thanks. I'd rather go to the gym all day and pull muscles left, right, and center. That pain is, at least, that makes sense. There's a cause and effect. Look, relationships now are like a slow drip mental asylum. Jeff says, the woman that I pushed away was a 51-year-old successful woman that is controlling and effed up from her abusive ex-husband. Yeah, a lot of women, I would take it with a grain of salt. A lot of women that say that they were abused by their exes, if you know how to ask questions, many of them, it wasn't abuse. They're making up a story. They're embellishing a story. They might have been a person that wasn't a great father. They might have had a temper. They might have been, but the picture they might paint may have the volume turned up. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but don't trust what comes from her mouth, because I've noticed the better I've gotten in conversation and in playfully interrogating during dates, you start to realize that they are making up a story to make themselves sound better. The amount of times the initial thing I heard from her mouth, and guys like to believe it because you like her on a date. Oh, she's good looking, she's great, we get along. And whatever you ask her, you trust her first opinion. But you don't keep talking and paying attention. Are her responses to this conversation about her ex and what went wrong, are they all consistent? If you start asking different questions, like, he was never at home. I thought he was cheating on me. Oh, why? Did you find evidence? What did he do that was so bad? Why wasn't he ever home? Oh, he was working too much. Oh, okay. And then you start kind of unraveling the picture, and it's basically that he was never home. I remember on one specific case, her opening statement was that he treated her really badly. He was never at home, and basically, the picture she was painting was like he was an awful person that just didn't have time for her, abrupt, was never home, ignored her. She was kind of like a caged dog or a bird that wasn't allowed to fly, and it was really kind of, he suffocated her, and a very limited life where he took her for granted, and then she finally had enough and left. But she painted it out though he was kind of really cruel as well. The more I asked her, and I asked her about when she met her, well, didn't you realize this guy was like that when you met him? Before we had kids and we used to go traveling, we went to Paris, we used to travel around the world and here, and then I started to get the picture that, he had money and they enjoyed a rich lifestyle. And then when I inquired, he's a mechanic for I think 2 or 3 racing teams, like not Formula One, the one before that, but in the supercar range. So he was a mechanic for Lamborghini. Okay. So he traveled around the world and he did that. And she loved that lifestyle. When they had kids, she had to stay home with the kids if she wanted that money coming in. Then all of a sudden, he's not home, but she wants the money. And she was like, well, I didn't sign up for this. We had a different life when I met him. So, of course I'm disappointed. It's like, you're not being realistic. You're not saying to him, well, stop working for those guys and become a mechanic locally at a normal auto place. No, because then your salary would drop 5 to 10-fold, wouldn't it? So ask questions. This is why I think conversationally and morally and ethically learn how to speak and think and start hitting those curiosity points and start sort of finding out what the story is with the people you're talking to, and find out what your own story is. Black Magic says, has there been any significant age gaps between you and your ex? Was there any differences in relationships in general? Most of my exes in my past were pretty similar to me. One in my 30s, she was about 8 years younger. But she was the youngest one was my best relationship. All the women that were my age, I had the most difficulties with. So read into that what you will. Anel says his younger brother is 30 and he's 32, so it's only a 2-year age difference. And so his younger brother, who's 30, he feels that myself, Stardust, and Spetsnaz are too philosophical, while those ideas won't work on modern women compared to Fresh and Fit. See, this is the thing. Will it work on modern women? This isn't pickup. So that tells you the difference. The male space today is all about pickup. How can this work on women? How can I game women? How can I get her to bed? How can I, like, you look at how the Fresh and Fit podcast, it's like men and women yelling at each other, and that's how they're trying to work each other out. You can't. It's all emotional based. You hear that they talk over each other. You can't have a civil conversation. It's not a debate. It's a screaming match. It's a yelling match. It's the female chaos. When I look at Fresh and Fit, it's like, these are the relationships you're going to have. The yelling over each other and two worlds that are trying to fight and compete. Is this what you want? Is this what you're trying to have? This yelling, incompatible, screaming match between men. What about this is attractive? Other than the body you're looking at, these bimbos, that's all you want. You want a body. You don't actually want, and no wonder you want hookups. When you interact and you get, it confirms you wanting to stay single and you're not looking for love, because who could love that mess? You are not learning anything that in an old school way would make your life more stable with that person. So they're junk food. So of course you're not going to have a long-term stable diet with bimbo junk food if they are the women you're trying to work out, because they're the only attractive archetype. How can you make young guys interested in something more meaningful or cerebral? I don't know if you can. Guys who aren't interested in video games, you can show them video games. Maybe you can stumble across one that kind of opens the door, but if they're not built that way, they're not built that way. I actually found the right button to mute my burp this time. Jeff says, what are you willing to accept in a relationship that is not ideal? No one is perfect. No, that's true. But like Maslow's low level, what is the essential aspects? Like Maslow's low level is like food, shelter, warmth, the stuff that you need as a base. And then you can take or leave anything above that, depending on what your personal ethical standards are, how you've been raised, or what you find is personally important to you. But what's the base that almost every relationship, especially you know that without this, look, it's not going to work, and it's going to be an uphill push. You know, what is the base that is not going to make a relationship appear like Sisyphus pushing the boulder up and back and back and back? Yeah, Alpha Gaming says it's less about pushing away and more about mitigating risks. I could get married, but what if it turns bad? I could lose everything I've worked for, such as my house and savings. Yeah. And why does your partner not understand that you really don't want to, like, you feel good that you both feel like you're not, like, if you have a fear of that, you don't. And this is the thing, like, I don't want to force my partner to sleep with me. It feels better when the person of their own volition says, no, I want to do this. They, like, if they respect, I don't want to cross this line, and they show you they love you by saying, okay, I will never force you, and it's not important to me. I like all this other stuff. But if you don't want to marry me, or if you don't want to tell me how much money you make or what's in your bank account or whatever, like, and that has nothing to do with us, I respect that. And if one day you kind of open up and share things without being forced, she may appreciate that. But if it's actually a gun to your head, then that's I would say no. If you're being held hostage, if she's saying basically, if you don't risk something that'll make you fearful for my own security and I don't care about your security, that's not a person you want to be with. And that'll end your relationship soon as well. Because if she makes you do something you're uncomfortable with, you will not be yourself anymore. You will only be yourself where you're free and relaxed. If she makes you unrelaxed, then you're not going to be yourself. And then she's going to say, well, it just doesn't feel right. I'm not in love anymore. It doesn't feel like it used to. It's because you've pushed him into an uncomfortable space. A person that cares for you should always be trying to make you feel comfortable and happy, accommodating you and listening to you, as you should be doing as well. There's give and take, but there's no using the person, or as least as possible. Sasha, I'm assuming you're a woman. She left a comment. Where are you now finding these women? They all sound self-centered. Most women are self-centered, sweetheart. I'm guessing it sounds like a female comment. I'm not making fun of you, but like most women are. Think about women in the schoolyard. Think about how many women say, like, I've got male friends because I find them easier. I've got more male friends than female friends. You never hear a guy saying, I got more female friends because they're easier to get along with than guys. Men are easier to get along with as friends. Men are easier to make sense of. Women, when they get around with guys, no matter how Neanderthal some guys can act, we're simple to figure out. We're not complicated. Where are we finding these women? They're everywhere. Please tell men, give them somewhere they can find perfect, great women. I know no one's perfect, but where can they find better women? Please. Tell them. Guys would go there. It doesn't help that women lie. A lot of women, they don't show who they are. They agree with the guy they like when they're going out until it's locked in and the guy falls in love, and then she lets the mask drop, and then she becomes someone else. Then she lets the anger out. Then she changes her mind. Then she breaks her promises. Where are we finding these women? Women are so passive and agreeable, most of them, at the start of dating. They're not honest, that they just put on a fake show to get the guy, and then they get... I'm convinced that most of them, they don't get bored and fall out of love. When the mask drops off and they're relaxed in themselves, they realize the cage they've made for themselves by lying. And then they don't feel in love. And then it's not comfortable. It's like, okay, now when I exhale, I feel claustrophobic. There's no air for me to breathe. Yeah, breathe, because you weren't breathing properly before. The guy was honest. He was trying to impress you by being honest and being the best version he could be, especially in the initial stages. And then he may have kind of turned that volume down a bit, but he's still himself. How many guys change who they are from the honeymoon to later? It's almost always that women do. They let the mask drop because women are most passive from the start, and the first impressions you stay with. So if women don't say or speak up about who they are, and they continue being agreeable, and then later on they let out the real them, and the initial part was just an impressive show, then who's really to blame? Where do we find these women? If a woman likes you, they all seem the same. They're agreeable. And a guy thinks, wow, I found a girl that's like me. No, you found a girl that's mirroring you because she likes you for whatever reason, and she's saying yes to everything. And then later on, that's when the friction starts after the honeymoon, because then she starts showing parts of herself that she kept hidden. It's like a woman trying to get the job and walking and quacking like a duck and being agreeable until the probation period ends. And then when she knows she can't get fired, or firing is going to be very difficult, then she lets down her guard. Whenever that sort of glib answer is, where are you finding these women? More importantly, why are women saying yes to guys without any standard? Men might ask a lot of women out, but the women they stay with and they form relationships with, a lot of women are just staying very passive and not being themselves. Mr. Highway says, I've always listened to my elders. People look at them as relics of the past, but I see them as speaking to me from the future. Yes, this is a big difference, I think, between past generations and this new one, they actually look at elders like idiots. Like, yeah, your time's past, old man. It's almost like they want our time. We've got the cars and the houses and the properties and the jobs and the stuff and the money. It's like, you're hogging it. Give it to us. Can you just die? We want you to disappear. Past generations was like, or this is the person, like, think about even our heroes. Superheroes, a young guy loved Superman. Wonder Woman, women liked. So it was like woman, man, this aspirational figure of an older person that you wanted qualities, you wanted to be them or have qualities of them. Now it's like they're laughable. It's like we have boys that are superheroes, relatable, fragile, superheroes that have problems with girls and ADHD and depression and insecurity. It's like, I don't want that to be my hero. What kind of aspirational quality is that? It's just a superficial, they're like me, but they can fly. Oh, great. There's a big learning curve. It's basically you with unlimited power. That is dangerous, man. So basically, you can be a complete mess, but you've got the power to dominate everyone. And so imagine you're Superman, right? If your superhero characters now are relatable, like mine weren't relatable because they were men. I had a way to go and a time to learn to be something like Superman and his values. Now you are there. You just don't have the superpowers. So what's the fantasy? My superheroes now are teenagers and young adults just like me. The only difference between me and them is that they have powers. So imagine I had the superhero's powers. So when my girlfriend broke up with me, man, what I'd do to her. Think about how dangerous that is. So your heroes don't have actual a distance that could mature you through learning to get to where they are. You are there, you just don't have their power and status. But if you did, imagine the destruction you would cause. And you could see the destruction being caused on a lower level between men and women. It's very dangerous. The models being given to young people are very dangerous and are very, very they're very exploitative. They're not mentoring, they're not nurturing. They don't care about what these young people are going to become. They care about what they can mine from them. Yeah, Mr. Highway, I used to look up to and listen to elders. Actually, the best conversations I still have are with people that are older than me. The chats I've had, there are people around my age or people who might be younger, but they're more mature than their age. They're actually very intelligent for their age. So whereas, yeah, I used to as well really look up to, admire and bow down to and buy books from authors who are much more lived and intelligent and more introspective. And now it's like people buy books by people who are exactly like them. They're not smarter or better. They're like a friend you wish you had. They're on the same level as you. You basically want to have a conversation with yourself rather than better yourself or have a conversation with a better version of you. Fine Fix a Store. Thank you for the super chat. He says, "Morning, sir. You're a true inspiration." Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the like button, guys, and subscribe. Make the algorithm happy so I don't disappear over time. Moonshot said, my partner said marriage is a contract to my surprise. Not sure if she's playing chess, but said she isn't concerned with it. What's the chances her thought process changes? Yeah. What if a situation arises that stimulates a survival instinct? The important thing is to really find out what a person's ethical and moral center is so that you can reasonably, I mean, it's never guaranteed, but reasonably predict when a situation arises, how they react. A good way is temper or, have you been in a situation where the person's stressed or surprised or fearful or angry? How did they react? Did what she say about her moral stance and I'm this kind of person, I'm that kind of person, I was raised to believe blah, blah, blah. Have you had enough experience being with this person before you move in or even decide to have kids or get married? Has it been situations where she's been tested with her temper or patience or empathy, where you could tell it was a natural response and it matched how she sold herself with her morals and ethics? This is why you spend time with a person and get to know them. You don't just trust that they're great. A lot of people will tell you who they hope they are, but not who they are, because people want to sell you a great version. And a lot of times they're talking to themselves and trying to convince you as well as themselves. Like they are saying, this is who I really want to be and I know I can be. But they're actually telling you, they're mistakenly telling you something that you believe is who they are, but they're not. Just the guy says, people who dismiss the importance of money, they either never had enough of it or they have enough of it, but they feel guilty about it. Or they're never sensible about the practical effects of like, we need it to pay our bills. We live with so much technology that sort of, unless you're prepared to realistically live a life that's so off the grid and you meet a compatible person, I mean, it's hard enough finding anyone today, let alone living in the wilderness or somewhere. You have limited your choices not to 1% of the population. You've limited it to like 0.00. So it's like you might as well just not expect to, and not even have it on your list of things. Like you're waiting. It's almost like you're waiting to win the lottery 3 times in a row. Men's Health Spaces says, if we've dated based on celebrities, get rid of me now. Have you checked out Douglas Murray's Madness of Crowds? I haven't actually got the book. That's one. Thanks for reminding me, actually. When it came out, I told myself I was going to order it, but I never got around to it. Yeah, it's a book I want to read because everything I've heard about it and the excerpts and interviews sounds really good. I like Douglas Murray. He's a great thinker. Tungsten 8 says, I've been at NGTOW 10 years now, been cheated on 9 out of 12 times. Find out my last wife had a child abuse conviction she hid. I want to trust again. Any advice? Conversation, man. Look, I remember when I started to become philosophically interested, I thought this is going to be a deterrent for most women. But letting this out, this machine gun of interest in conversation and talking with someone, it will reveal a lot. So if they don't like this, at the very least, this will protect me from a lot in the future. If I don't talk and find out things and not interested, not just in myself, in the person I'm imbuing into my life potentially, then this kind of stuff happens. They can hide more. If you don't talk, if you're not honest, if you don't communicate, there's much more of a chance a person can hide if you don't talk. If you're not conversationally interested and you don't interact with each other, you don't have a lot to talk about, things don't come out. If it's just about restaurants and distracting yourself with BS, then yeah, a person can hide a lot of stuff. Actions and words. Actions and words. I don't know how you can, aside, if you don't do that, I don't know how you can protect yourself. As I said, women are very passive at the start, most of them, and so they can keep that going. And they can rationalize it to themselves. Well, I hit it at the start and you fell in love with me, and it's in the past, and it's not going to happen again, but it may play a part in your character. For instance, if I've been to prison for murder or some horrific crime, say to do with children. That's really going to color a woman's opinion of me. Even if she doesn't want to have kids, right? That's still going to color her opinion of me. I can't be so ridiculous as to say, well, she doesn't want kids. She doesn't love kids either. Like, it's not going to make a difference. Like, yeah, we can rationalize things, but really, if it doesn't make a difference, why aren't we telling them? Because we know deep down it will matter to them. It's the same with women today that say, it shouldn't matter how many people I've slept with. I can do the same thing as men, but they don't want to admit those things when they're starting to get to know a guy that they like. If they don't care about it, they should be able to tell the guy about how many, if he asks her a question about how many people she slept with, has she done this, has she done that? Or she'll want to say to a man that she really likes, look, I don't think I can live with this. I want to tell you, just to get it off the table. So if you know this, then I can be completely relaxed with you. But women will hide a lot because they know that if they tell the guy this, the guy probably won't want to be with them. Maybe. So the things you're afraid to say to your partner, you can't pretend, well, they shouldn't matter and I don't really care about them. You do care about them. You do care about the person and the respect of the person that you care about. Like you're worried about what they'll say or if they'll leave you or if they won't respect you anymore. People are very good at BSing themselves with justifications. PJ says the documentary was a very bad portrayal of his character. Which documentary are you talking about, PJ? Quasimandias says the town I grew up in was right next door to the big ranch Osho built in Central Oregon. Ah, really? And he would drive his Rolls Royce through town. Yeah, see, there are some of the kind of contradictory things that if you were spiritually, if it mattered, those things would be big contradicting points. Followers were everywhere. They stole my cat. They stole my cat. I don't know why that's so funny. He drove a Rolls Royce through town. His followers were everywhere and they stole your cat. That's hilarious. Are you talking about Osho's book? Yeah, but if you are talking about Osho, PJ, I agree with Quaz more, where I can cherry pick a lot of his stuff that he says is true. And this is the dangerous thing. There are a lot of people that proffer being a guru, where the best lies, you sprinkle great truths at the start to get people through the door. And then you've got them. It's like like I mentioned, the metaphor of, not a metaphor, but the strategy of women who are very passive and they're agreeable and they don't really reveal who they are, their morals, their ethics, their temper, their empathy and all that. They just mirror you. So at the start, if you give people what makes sense, what the best strategy is, then when you can get them in, when they fall in love with you, like Osho, he got people to fall in love with him by giving them an intense version of what is really right, in the same way that a lot of women give guys the intense version of what is really right for them. Once they get you, once you're in love and locked in, then it's very hard. It's like Stockholm syndrome. So you've got to be very careful. Do not allow that to happen. So you've got to realize that you are separate from another person. It's the relationship you have with the person. So you can admire a person and be friends and talk and stand shoulder to shoulder with them. But requiring someone to be your parent when you're an adult, that's very different. And lying to yourself that, no, they're a guru. And you look at the documentaries, he was a father figure to them. And a lot of these sect-like communities, that's a very dangerous thing. So for me, it's think for yourself, know thyself, and relate to people fairly. And try to encourage people to be their own leader Shoulder to shoulder, not standing in front or behind each other. Mr. Highway said, to be honest, I'd be more surprised if he said he saw two women wearing dresses. He was talking about the guy who in Melbourne, like me, who saw two guys wearing dresses. Yeah, it's getting that way today. It's like really cool that you see someone who stands out in a very peculiar way. Whereas to me, it's like someone who's very peculiar, they need to show a lot of individual justification, both in how they conduct themselves, for me to see past that superficial stuff. Because today people are just presenting to others the superficial them. You know, me in a dress, I identify with this. But the more you talk to them about anything, they don't really have a moral foundation. They don't really have a rich inner world where they can talk to you. They don't really have a strong character. They've got a political character. They've been fed by the system. Their personality is fed by the group. It's not really that individual. Remember, if you want to ask a question on the right, throw a few emojis in front of your question. I've been running my mouth for an hour and 21 minutes. Men's Health Space says, relationship attachment. Does it serve me? Is it of value? Questions to ask on every topic. It's not just, does it serve you? Yes. Does it come back? Do you serve each other? Is it fair? Is it cooperative? Or, like you said, are you attached? Do you need it to feel loved and you don't care how you exist? Do you just get off on being led? Do you just want to be in a relationship because of your unaddressed Freudian issues? Yeah, the past is the past, but that you could be dragging an anchor behind you. Yeah, Men's Health Space says, if she's asking you about money, ask her about how many people she slept with, then walk away. Admiral Paul Saberho says, is it in any way realistic to make women responsible in gynocentrism for anything taking evolutionary neurology preventing it into account? Look, it's not so much trying to force women to be responsible. Have honest conversations where you're prepared to really reveal the truth. It's not so much, be prepared for something great to walk away and leave you. Be prepared to take the loss. It's, your mode should always be honest. Talk honestly. If there's something, there's a warning sign, but I won't say it because she's really cool and we're having a great time. It's like, no, if you keep going, you'll continue to hide that and continue to hide that. Talk whenever you've got a instinct or a question to ask. Be as open as you can. Be as open as you can, conversationally, especially. Reveal the person. Reveal the person. Especially with women. Women love hiding who they are at the start because their mode is passivity. So do not, guys, please do what you want. I'm talking to a younger version of myself or someone who thinks like me. Do not ignore the instinct when you feel a warning sign, when there's something that doesn't make sense. Express it and ask a question and interrogate in a nice way that you want to reveal who they are. Honesty, conversation, back and forth, openness. For your sake. It's not so much about them. When you do it for your own sake, the back and forth happens anyway. It's good for them, it's good for you. You don't want her staying with you in this relationship any more than you want to stay with her. Roman says, I was at the shops the other day and saw a man and woman roll up in the latest Mercedes. As soon as the guy was away from her, I caught a glimpse of her on her phone on Tinder. Yeah. I remember, again, retrospect. I remember we started, my ex, after we started dating and we had the official conversation. I remember a few weeks later on her phone, I was flicking through and I saw the Tinder icon because she was giving me her phone, and she was saying, "I'll have a look at this," and I did, and she was something about her phone not working. I was trying to work out she had a lock on it, and I got it to work, and I was scrolling back and forth between her screens, and I said, "What's this? Why you still got Tinder?" She says, "Oh, I forgot to get rid of it." She was a bit embarrassed. That was right at the start, and then after that, it wasn't on there anymore. But yeah, that's why it's very important to have a long vetting process, guys. Trust is earned. And so a woman demanding you trust her without you naturally coming to the point of trusting her, don't trust anyone who pushes you. Because that's a person saying, no, no, I don't care how uncomfortable you are. All I care about is how comfortable I am. I don't care about your comfort and fear. Um, yeah, Alpha Gaming says women tend to want a guy that makes six-figure income and works 32 hours a week. Yeah. They don't want to make the they don't want to make the chances of having a happy life with a guy more realistic by picking something in the middle of the bell curve where a guy, if they are materialistic, a guy just who has a decent job. No, no. They want a guy who barely works, like some entrepreneur, these gurus online who, I work smarter, not harder. So I only check my emails 2 hours a week and I have passive income rolling in and I make millions of dollars every year. That's the kind of guy they want. So they get the best of both worlds. But then again, if ignore unrealistic women. I know it's hard because most women are emotional based, but take care of your own life. Be very aware of what you're letting in, and be very aware of women who are acting. And the best chance is to allow that initial honeymoon period of getting to know someone be as long as it needs to be, months or years, until you're genuinely satisfied that you've had enough examples time after time of her patience being tested, of her, what she says she's like matches how she acts in those situations. You've had enough time to be 100% solid that no, that's really her character. I'm not just relying on what she says, and also how she respects you, how she takes care of your fears, how she represents herself. I know it's rare and almost impossible, but what are you going to do? Roll the dice on your life and be another guy that comes back online and says, "Oh yeah, women are all trash." It's like if you want to have rose-colored glasses on, try as best as you can not to have them on at the start. Or at least just have one lens being rose, and the other one knock the lens out so you can see somewhat balanced. Mr. Highway says this isn't pick up, it's don't pick it up, put it down. Ted, 1775, human, what is your view on spinning plates? I think it's a waste of time. You're spending all your time on women. If you don't have any other hobbies, I suppose it's a hobby, but it's a dangerous one, and it's just a very depleting one. You don't get anything out of it except for bragging about, like, I went out with this chick, I look at this photo. You had a lot of experiences. You're basically the equivalent of someone who travels all the time. You enjoy traveling, you might, but there's no permanency. So then again, can you really complain? If you're spinning plates and you're truly happy, I don't know why you're upset at women or why you're frustrated. If you're trying to have something long term and you're doing your best, like, I've only got a small window of ways I could actually have a long-term relationship. And so the stuff I'm talking about is, I've got a very specific thing I want. But if you guys are just having fun in an entertainment way, like just hooking up, I don't know why you get annoyed at women. That's the lifestyle you want. It's like, if I go to the gym and I feel pain and stuff, I'm not going to complain about the pain. I'm not going to get annoyed about it. It's actually like, it's part of the thing that I like doing. It's a masochism in that environment. Pain is a masochism in terms of going to the gym regularly and, say, trying to be a bodybuilder. The frustrations, the limitation, and they're not really. They're a sadomasochistic sort of part of it. Same with, if you're spinning plates and hooking up with girls, stop complaining. That's the pain that's part of it. So it seems really childish to complain about women if you're in that PUA spinning plates. So that's why it's sort of, it's just dumb to me. Pete says Stardust is rad but calls humans apes. Well, we are, in a very biological way. And the way people are acting today, I think Stardust is more right. Put it this way, you should be less offended by that topic, the way men and women act, especially. Just the guy says, maybe a change in paradigm will help solve. Maybe a change in paradigm will help solve this whole mess. Like people moving on from monogamous relationship based on feelings to ones based on interest without feeling guilty about it. They're not real. Like, how many people can honestly go, okay, I'm just going to get into relationships without any feeling at all and not be hurt by it? Because you can initially, but then you start getting the familiarity of enjoying being with this person. Then all of a sudden, if they decide to move on, you get hurt. You can't help feeling very primal lizard brain kind of feelings like fear or heartbreak or loss. It's very, very hard. So trying to I think I mentioned, like, you can't want to do the foxtrot and call it something else, and try and juggle it in your brain as something else. I'm not explaining it well, but look, if you can do it, give it a try. But also, don't lie to yourself if you tried it once or twice and it doesn't work for you. If you want a stable, more traditional, monogamous consistency based on the things that have worked between men and women for thousands of years, it's very hard to reinvent it, because we've got here based on that paradigm. Good luck, try it. If you can find the needle in the haystack and you can react the way you want to react, that's another thing. Be a scientist, try it out. You know, because you could casually take feelings away and be very open in your relationship with a girl. Then all of a sudden, you could break up and she could move on, and you're not together, and you think she was probably the perfect kind of girl for me, but because of the paradigm we placed ourselves in and our casual, free, open relationship, our foundations negated us lasting. Whereas if we both demanded that we would be considerate and operate in this different dynamic of trust and monogamy and whatever, we would have a relationship for a longer period of time. You don't know. Don't lie to yourself is all I can say. Freedom isn't just freedom to sort of be single and have as many partners and options as you want. You're also splitting your options amongst a lot of things, and you're negating a lot of central stability too. So you can have the consistency, stability, warmth, peace of mind of choosing one person and taking your time, or you can not care, choose a lot of people and keep having the Groundhog Day of break up, loneliness, break up, found someone, like it's too sporadic. I mean, look at the guys that you might follow on the internet, the consistency of their channels or how they speak. Parallel that if you actually made a consistent life, consistency of your life is actually what can give you a space where you can try out different things. But if nothing's consistent, if you're renegotiating your life all the time from zero, it becomes more and more nervous and destabilizing as time goes on. Karu, that's a great comment. Karu says, where do you find these women? Look in the mirror. That's a great comment. That is a great comment. Where do you find the women you want? Look in the mirror. That's really good. There you go. See, Karu's an example. We're talking about sort of relating to people. Karu's an example. He's a younger guy, but his intelligence is much more than the average person of his years. And then there's people I talk to that are older than me, that have wisdom beyond my years. It's about having conversations with people that you play the same music. You know, you may play different instruments, but you want to play the same symphony. You're in a compatible orchestra, but you're not kind of, I play the cello and this guy wants to play electric guitar. And this is the problem a lot of guys have with women. It's like, oh, we both like music. It's like, no, you don't know the music you're into, dude. You can't play anything with this person. Yeah, but it's exciting. Yeah, it's a mess too. No one's going to buy that record, including you. It's experimental. Also, are you into jazz? Like, for instance, the music I like, I sort of even analyze sometimes, like, look at the consistency of your life and how many things parallel. I like music with a progression. Like EDM music that I like is a beat. It's a consistent beat, or trance that sort of moves up and down, or cinematic music, soundtracks that sort of ebb and flow. But I don't like jazz like up and down, the stuttering of modern music with a lot of auto-tune. And think about music you can dance to. Your body can connect to it and there's a rhythm. So it's the same as the music you're into, how you relate to conversations. Is there a flow to it? Or is it disjointed? Is it jazz? Is it experimental? I have had a problem of having jazz relationships of women who need their sensation, like their unpredictability sensation constantly stimulated. Know yourself. But that comment, where do you find women, is look in the mirror. Find women that reflect your attitude. And then when you're with someone, you meet someone, I get along with them, know why. Start to kind of feel like, for me, the best feeling is when I like someone, I'm getting along, and then straight after or during, I'm like, I know why I get along with this person. It's such a great feeling of stability to get along with someone and not feel like, oh my God, I want to keep this. How is it happening? I don't know. But to actually know why you get along or why something's right for you, or to make a kind of connection, that is a great feeling in terms of some sort of security and knowing of yourself. So yeah, how can you try and take a good step in a direction to find the kind of women you want is look in the mirror. Great comment, Karu. Really good comment. Feral Male says a good example of a superpowered teenager trope was my super ex-girlfriend. Yeah. That was the one with what's her name from Kill Bill, wasn't it? Yeah. From memory, she was a very labile, emotional woman, and she just had superpowers, and she basically destroyed the city. That's an exaggerated, from memory, that's an exaggerated portrayal of what men feel with their women. They are so scared shitless because she's a superhero waiting to destroy you. Yeah, go watch My Super Ex-Girlfriend, stomach your way through that. And that's what a lot of young guys probably feel with their women. They deify women to such a degree that their women are superheroes, and they are scared to death of them. Tomb of Arminius says they buy books that reinforce, not enlighten or educate. I've said it before. Are you into spirituality or the male space online? Are you in it for awareness or are you in it for comfort? Really be aware. If you want your life to be better, make sure that what information you take in, are you really believing in it because you're justifying your biases? Are you in it for awareness? And that means you adjust your biases. You sharpen your opinions. You're ready to kind of say, you know, this thing that I held on to, this trope, this axiom, it's not true anymore. I've seen a different way and it hasn't been comfortable with me for a while. And now I've read something or had a conversation, or I've seen something that makes sense. I'm going to throw this out now. It no longer fits in my life. This was the 18-year-old me believing in this thing. And it served me through my 20s and maybe early 30s, but now I'm a 40-year-old man. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm working off the same tropes of my 18-year-old self. You've got to be plastic, guys. Your neuroplasticity, try and keep it, figuratively speaking, your plasticity, keep it alive as much as possible for your survival and contentment and happiness. Trevor says, ever mentored or trained any women? Thoughts should a man have to? Yeah, that's the thing. I think I've made a video on that about how there's a lot of guys saying you need to train your woman. Why? Why should I do the job that her parents should have done before her? Or society. But, you know, it's not society's job, it's parents' job. Schlitz Malt Liquor, thank you for the super chat donation. I really appreciate it, Schlitz. He says, human, late getting here tonight. As usual, fine work, my friend. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Feral Android also, thank you for the super chat donation. He says, thanks, human. At 45, I've achieved everything I set out to in my life so far, trying to figure out what I want next. Life's just progressive learning. You are never going to get there. You're never going to get to a stage where like, oh, I'm this age now. Now it's perfection. Every day is Elysium, you know? So you're always learning. You're always getting knocked down. But the point is you get knocked down less, you hope. You don't naively go into situations you should know better from. I think naturally life gives you the ability to get knocked down for really meaningful and bad situations when you're younger because you've got the energy or time to have a redo or try them differently. You get older, you don't have the time. But also you should have the patience and resilience and the knowledge the applicable knowledge, hopefully, to not do it again. Not, I've dated 3 single mum strippers in the past and they're really exciting. Maybe the next one. Don't do this with your, Maslow's pyramid. You've got the base. I've mentioned it a few times. You got, food, shelter, warmth, and all, like the stuff you need so you're not homeless and one step away from perishing, right? Think of what's your relationship pyramid? What's the base you absolutely need if you really want to enjoy a good, stable relationship with a girl? I know it's hard, but what is the basic deal breaker? Not high expectations, basic. You want to be able to spend time with them. You want to be able to talk about stuff. You want to have your values met. Like, what are your base level Maslow for a relationship? Otherwise, it's not going to happen. What are those things? What is your base when it's got to do with life and lifestyle and balance, work-life balance? The things you struggle with, like the procrastination, like you've always wanted to write a book, but you're no step further in writing your book than you were 10 years ago. Are the things that you keep talking about or wanting, are they just convenient dreams that just give you something to look forward to, but you're never really going to apply them or come anywhere close? Get real with your ethics in your life. Men's Health Space says, the fake drives me insane. I can only display myself. It is hard work, costs relationships. People expect you to fit their narrative. If not, no trust. Yeah. If you can honestly and fairly, when you relate to people, when you can really realize that, like, hey, I'm not intruding on this person. I'm not demanding of this person. I'm not being hard to get along with. I'm just being who I am. I think I'm respectful. If you can see the way you interact honestly and objectively as a third person, observing the way you interact with women and other people, is like, no, I'm just being normal. I'm just being honest. But this person just doesn't fit with me, or they're used to people. Like a good-looking chick will have guys supplicating to her, no matter what guy. A lot of women who are very attractive, they're not used to not getting what they want because they've always got it because of their mode of I'm good looking. But if you're actually just yourself and you try and always override everything with this open expression of who you are, whether she can accept you or dance with you is beside the point. You're doing well by yourself. So you can't make friends with everyone. You can't have a relationship, a romantic one, with every girl, and that is good. You are much better having an open, compatible relationship with yourself and your life, given who you are, as well as having a compatible and open relationship with the people that fit into your framework. It's a win-win. You will lose some, but that's better than accepting anyone and living with stress and incompatibility. The biggest problem with people is incompatible partners. And if we're all walking around blind and saying, yeah, they'll do, and giving ourselves the excuse of, oh, all women are the same. Well, yeah, they're all the same when you don't care about who you unlock the door for. If you don't say, like, if a woman's knocking on your relationship door and you don't say, what's the password? And you're just saying, like, come on in. Every woman's the same. It's like every woman who just sleeps with any guy without any standard, like, all you guys are the same. Yeah. Because you open your legs for every guy. You're going to get those kind of people. And even if there is a nice guy, if your mode is sleep with me Tinder, that guy is just looking to have fun. Even if he might be a different person if you got to know them. You don't get to know the real person with this Tinder mask of hook up and bang and see you later. It's like, if I put it this way, say in work, business, if you're a salesman, if you have to go into a company and sell a product and represent, like, you visit a company once a month and they see you as a happy, smiling guy who puts on a certain act to keep the relationship going. And then when you leave, you go to another company and you adjust yourself. We are doing this and then sitting at home alone and going like, why can't I have any consistent, meaningful relationship? You are turning up at every company differently, accommodating yourself, rather than saying like, no, I'm going to sit at the office or sit at your own office or your own world and have the same consistent relationship as much as you can. Yeah, I hate the fake as well, men's health space. I agree with you. I can't do acting well. I would be the worst actor. I know I've done little acting bits in some of my videos when I've done some of those funny, quirky things, but they're in service to some sort of a true thing I'm trying to get across. And I'm trying to sort of add a bit of, make it a little bit different visually and maybe cinematically in terms of a story, just to make the point drive home a bit more. Some familiar faces. Quasi-Mandai said, one can't have a relationship with someone who has no relationship to reality. Very true. And that will only come if you're observant, you pay attention to what they say as opposed to how they act and react, especially how they react unconsciously to fear, where empathy is required, things like that, where you're observant to how they react to certain situations, their temper and things like that. Because don't forget, reality is also you. It's not just the reality of their own solipsistic world, but if you have a reality with you, you're going through something or you're worried about something, if their reality doesn't include the reality of your world too, and not just the world around them, like, you know, the sky is blue, it's raining, an old woman fell down and she laughs instead of saying, oh my God, or being shocked. Her first impulse is to laugh at pain. Or you're going through something and her first impulse isn't to kind of lean into you and embrace you, figuratively speaking, and worry. Her first impulse is to be deterred and disgusted. Those are also reality things that you need to realistically pay attention to. See your men's health space. Eric O, thank you for the super chat. He says, generally most men become financially stable after 35. Why is it assumed younger women will fall in line to older men when they're most susceptible to social media cultural programming? Yeah, also, at the age of 35, we're pretty much set in our ways. If you've been a cow through your 20s and 30s and your neuroplasticity is almost like concrete, you can want a relationship, it's not going to happen. It is going to be impossible. It is like climbing Everest. So you're fooling yourself. If you have been lazy in your plasticity to relate to a person and be fair, when you reach midlife, forget it. Guys especially, yeah, they're financially stable, but also now they're much more, hopefully, most of them are more stable in knowing who they are. This is my world. You don't fit in. You're a danger to my stability, both financially and structurally in my world. The wrong woman is going to ruin your friendships, your family life, your work life, your health, your sleep, your blood pressure. Yeah. Schlitzmaltz Wicker says a full background workup may be in order before entering a relationship. Well, that's why talking and a fun interrogation of her over a long period of time will reveal that, because that's kind of a downer. In the same way it's a downer to kind of bring out a contract these days and say, you know, you hereby agree to sleep with me and I am not coercing you. Can you please sign here so I don't have to worry about the police knocking on my door? So the more you can honestly pay attention to the conversation and who she is, and if there's consistency over a period of time, a long period of time, the better and safer it will be for you. Derek Learns Slow, thank you for the super chat donation, man. He says, I was with my ex for 11 years. The first 9 were great. Only issue being my job making me travel. I gave it up at a reduced salary. She broke up with me 3 years later. Never make the woman the focus of your life. Never, if she gets with you based on who you are, never adjust your life in a meaningful way where it's just about her. Because if structurally it's who you are and the choices you've made, if you're doing it just for her, she's not conscious about it, but it's going to change her perception of how she feels about you and your relationship. Don't listen to what women want, listen to how they act. Never change your compass in a very foundational way in terms of like how you operate, what works for you in your life, because you feel like it's frustrating her. If that's who you've been all the time, she shouldn't have gotten with you. She shouldn't have said yes to you in the first place. A lot of women expect you to change, or they expect you to change when she drops the mask to accommodate what she really wants. Don't do it. I would suggest against it. Just a guy says, I don't like improvisational jazz. Me neither. I can appreciate it as a technical exercise, but it's not something I would want to sort of place in my life as something I can work with. I'm the same. I like rhythm, progression. You know, you can have a blip here and there, but overall consistency is the key to me. So that's what I mean. When I looked at the kind of music I like, it's compatible with the kind of person I am, my moral conduct, my ethics, and things like that. See, even I consistently love this microphone. I find it really hard to keep changing different microphones. I can try a different one every now and then, like I did my last one, but I always have a baseline, and it takes a lot for me to shift my baseline. But that's good because it gives me a sense of security in knowing where my foundations are and why. I can conceptually understand why I do. It helps me understand myself, and as such, when I'm talking with other people or when I was on a date, I feel a bit more confident knowing how I was in relation to this. I wasn't like a zero hoping that it would work because she's going to somehow lead this into a relationship and I'm happy to be in one. I find it really important to know why you like things and why things make sense. So then when you're trying to date someone or get with someone, those things aren't vague and you're not as insecure about them. Remember, any questions? Make sure you put a few emojis and icons before your question, so I can see them. Otherwise, I won't. I might not see them, guys. Let me a few comments under my last few videos. Alex S says under my main video this week, can't we get along? The end of love and relationships. He says, a lot of guys who are getting to know themselves better and have matured a bit. I'm just too tired for this fake crap. I'm done with the usury, the manipulations, the pointless relationship ending arguments. Yeah. It's really, really stupid, isn't it? When you look back at what ended relationships, it wasn't that dumb argument. It was just everything that was unsaid and not being honest before that. It wasn't really that last fight. This goes for both friendships and romantic relationships. This is where this I'm a lone wolf alpha male mentality likes to strike vulnerable men and trick them into thinking they don't need anyone in their life, which is wrong. What we do need is truly good people to socialize with and cut the fake bad shit out. Be raw, honest, authentic, but not a dickhead. I agree. Amen to that. The lack of realness is the base at the base of all of this frustration. We can sort of fine tune a lot of sophisticated things and philosophical thoughts and things around it, but you just get tired of the lack of reality. Just enough of game playing and spinning plates and yeah, the lack of realness is pare things down to its basics, and life becomes simple. Your problems aren't really that complicated if you're honest about really what's at their foundation. Pale Rider 957 says, I guess I'm completely lost about how to seek a solid and intimate relationship in 2021. I've tried, but the women I've interacted with seem more interested in the game than real desire to build something. Yeah. It's look at the life most of us are living. It's all gloss, superficial, a curated profile. And so you go on dates, or you try to date, and there's no one sitting across from you. It's an animated avatar. There's no one there. It's a hollow person. It's a child somewhere far in the distance, in the corner, that's guarded, and there's just all this hollowness around them. It's an empty room. T-Dog says, human, I take notes when I want to learn something. Oh, I do too. How do you learn? When you say you write, do you write notes to get things straight in your head, or do you write stories, etc.? Both, but especially when I hear something, I take a note in my phone. When I'm thinking of ideas on a walk or in the shower or something, like, I take notes. I remember to write it down straight away. If I hear something in the movie, I pause it and I get my notebook out and write it. And I've got different notebooks for different things. I've got a notebook for really great sayings from authors and movies and things, like other people's great quotes. And I've got just a general book of notes of ideas, like a journal running. I've got notebooks specifically for writing scripts and essays for videos. So I'm always writing, and I place them, and I have a place to write them down specifically. So I'm always writing notes. Yeah, I do something similar. T-Dog. Because when you write them down, something about the act of writing things down, it makes you remember, it cements it. But if you just kind of go, oh, that was cool, that was great, I'm going to try and remember it, it sort of fades away, and it gets lost in the herd of cats that continually come in, scratching your psyche in the current moment. They get destroyed. But writing them down solidifies them, the act, and just sometimes simply the act of writing it down, and you're saying it as you write it, it starts to become like getting printed. But if it's just an echo of something you've heard and say, that's cool, the repeating tactile factor of writing it and reading it and then reading it again, I found, I mean, you guys see, I can quote lines and phrases and who they've come from because I write them down. I don't recall a lot of this stuff if I haven't written it down. So a lot of the stuff that I can recall word for word or quotes from people is 99% of them I've written down. And as you write down, you read it back to yourself. Alex B, thank you for the donation. He says, human, one of your videos you mentioned that it's important to put what you've read into words. Is it possible or good to have your own philosophy of life and not share it with others? It's essential to have your own philosophy of life, but I think it's probably more essential to share it, because if you don't share it with anyone, then again, there's a separation between you and reality. Philosophy and Stoicism, its application is really its efficacy. It's really its practicality. So I would encourage you to, if it's meaningful at all, it should be applicable and shareable to life. And it'll be more useful to you when you can see its application. If they're just theories, they're no better than science fiction writing. Oh, this would be good if it happened, and there's a possibility. That's what a lot of university essays and theories from a lot of the woke crowd want to happen. Like, this should happen. Yeah, it can't though. You're discounting human nature. And the only way it's real is if it's applied in public and seeing if it works naturally and cooperatively and with people. Schlitz Maltzlicker says, females may not tell you who they are, but they certainly will show you a long courtship with getting to know her will reveal all you need to know. Yeah. Don't take her word for it. Take your own word for it. When you really kind of, you know her like you know your mother and your father and your brother and your best friends. You should be able to stand up for yourself and go, when someone says, no, trust me, why don't you trust me? It's like, because I don't yet. Don't you want me to trust you when I feel it? Yeah, but you should. If you don't trust me, then I don't know why you're with me. Well, if you're not going to give me the time to trust you, because trust does take time. Like, I can do what you want, but I won't be doing it because I trust you. It's because you're forcing me to. Wouldn't you feel better if I did it when I trusted you? Yeah, but why don't you trust me now? You are just pushing me. You're blackmailing me. You've got to know. I think this is where writing helps and learning how to speak. You need to learn how to defend yourself and what you believe in to someone else, no matter if they're forcing to walk away. What was it? Patrice O'Neill. He did a skit where women sort of hold the vag hostage. They're essentially kind of got a gun to the vagina, and they're saying, "Please do whatever she wants, or you'll never see me again." You should be saying, "Well, fine, pull the trigger." It's not like that's special. Every woman has that between her legs. I think women think it's more important than what it is, especially as you get older. Just a guy says, in the light of everything you're saying here, how can you still think long-term monogamous relationship is the way to go? Because I know what works for me. And if I can't get it, then that's fine. I can't accept a new paradigm if I don't fit into it. And what I want from it, I can't get from it. Do you know what I mean? I can't eat McDonald's if I know my body's used to a different diet, or if I'm health works better for me. Do you know what I mean? So short-term fun, yeah, cool. But it's like I can go on a holiday to a very different third world country or something, and I can enjoy it, but I know where home is. I know where home is. So maybe it's generational. But like I said in my video, don't come complaining about women if you're saying, well, polygamy, open relationships, hooking up, Tinder, man, that's the way to go. You old guys, you need to get with the times. Like, fine, okay, that's your standard. I know what mine is. I can't live in that world. That's a holiday. But I know if I want something more permanent in my life for consistency, and I don't want to waste a lot of my effort wasting space in that hookup environment on that holiday, I know where home is. So don't come complaining about women where you don't really care about long term. So the stuff you're complaining about how women act, why do you care? You just want to have fun. You don't live there. Yeah, like you're fighting two things. A lot of guys who are wanting to be in open relationships and free and date multiple people, you are both wanting to eat your cake and have it too. You can't do that. You can, but stop complaining. You're like women who want two opposite things at the same time. If you really want this, this is where you have to be. If you really want this, this is where you have to be. But I want to be in two places at once and be completely in two places at once. I don't want to split myself. Can't do it. Sebastian said, I'm 56 and divorced since 2005. Since then, I've been in 2 serious relationships, one lasting for years and ending in 2010, and the second lasting 22 months and ending April 2020. Each time I felt I gave 110%, but was left feeling exhausted at the effort. Yeah, this is the thing. You should be able to give effort and the other person sort of give effort back, and you never feel exhausted. You're never having to give 100%. You both can give 50 and the other person makes up the 50, and you both kind of give and take. He said, all because it was never enough. It isn't easy leaving behind the feelings of pessimism and negative emotion. I totally agree with the notion of getting your head in the right space and positive attitude before you even consider looking at a relationship. Unfortunately, with some of us battered and bruised old guys, there isn't enough time left to turn things around. This is true. I replied, I completely see your perspective. One only has so much fuel left in the tank for love. This is what's annoying about when you hear, oh, just try again. There's a great woman out there for you. Well, what if I no longer have the desire and I don't have enough fuel in the tank? I only have enough fuel to keep me going. I mean, I'm tired. I'm spent. Really trying to have a serious relationship is definitely a young person's game because of how much time it takes you. You know, just find the right woman is as pointless as saying go to the gym or make money. Has anyone asked me what I actually want now and what I'm interested in? Someone could ask me, human, why aren't you building tree forts and riding skateboards? And it's like I spent all that energy at that time in my life. You get older, your world moves from women, your perspective moves from women to the world. I think it's that arrogance from women saying like, "Oh, you loser, you can find another woman." It's like, you haven't even asked me if I want to anymore. It's like someone's eaten enough and they're cramming another meal in front of you saying, "Eat." It's like, I'm full. Ah, come on, you can eat more. Like you actually don't care at all. You're not listening to me. It's a great way to be aware if the other person's got empathy. Any last questions, guys? We'll start wrapping it up because we've been going for just over 2 hours, which I don't like going more than 2 hours, really. The Unlearned Mind even said, dating is a young man's game. As I grew out of playing with toys, I've grown out of playing with women. And this is the thing, as you get older, I can't play with toys anymore. And this is what a lot of women resemble. I can only play with something that's mature, that isn't a toy. But it might be fun. My car's not a toy. It's a lot of fun, but it's no longer a skateboard or a BMX. Dina says, I can no longer stand channels whose sole purpose is to make fun of women. I used to enjoy them to some extent in the beginning, but now it's just the same thing over and over. Women this, women that, Human is currently the only channel in the Mosphere I can watch these days. Even Better Bachelor started to get on my nerves, even videos. Every video is just, check out this crazy thing a woman did. Look, yeah, look, every channel probably serves its purpose, but I think there's only so much we can take steps forward with just making fun of the other. Again, are you entertaining yourself? Are you trying to be aware and learn things and use things for its application in your life? There's entertainment, there's education, there's awareness, and there's comfort. Like really, really pay attention to what am I really doing? Patron Hall says, I'm so glad you made this video. I think he's talking about this one. I've been away from Manosphere content for a while, and the exact reason you stated, I'm about the life I want, which just does involve being a positive, grateful member of society. Yeah. But I also realize that the hypocrisy in the public conversation has soured me. What soured me even more was talking to women who disagreed with the extremity, but let it go worse because they didn't want to rock the boat, making it look like a majority of women were agreeing with poisonous discourse. Yeah. That said, it's past time to treat the weakness with grace. It's past time to treat that weakness with grace. Yes, I've often said with women that kind of say, I'm not a girl power chick, it's like, you are, because you let the extreme girl power women speak for you and laugh and rub your hands at what you'll get from it. So you let them speak for you, which means you're part of that problem. You never in public, when you're around women and there's one loudmouth that's putting down her husband and saying men are crap, and they're talking the rhetoric of these stupid morning shows, and they're making themselves part of the problem. None of you speak up and say you're wrong or offer a different point of view. You don't want to rock the boat with women because you know how catty women can be. If you're not prepared to, in public, when you have a different opinion and you have a righteous opinion to the politically correct rubbish that's out there, if you don't speak up, you're not helping. You're not helping your life either. You're isolating yourself. You are less isolating yourself by speaking up and providing a different discourse. That was a good comment, Patron Hall. I agree with it. The hypocrisy of public conversation has soured him. Me too. Talking to women who disagree with girl power, but they let it go because they don't want to rock the boat. Oh, great. But then you're going to complain at men. But women are the ones in charge of picking the men to say yes to. I mean, men say yes secondarily, but in a primal dating sense, men are asking. I've talked about this before. This guy says accountability is sorely missed in the male sphere. It's easier to dwell on things we can't control and create videos that further despair whilst creating echo chambers of pessimistic attitude. It takes two to tango in a relationship. Yes. In a conversation too. If you keep your mouth shut, you got nothing to say and you don't know how to say it, she's going to lead the dance, and she's a bad dancer. And she changes the dance every day. Plato Plombo says, yes, enough with the black pills, blame gaming, projection on all the other falsehoods that lead to nihilism, hedonism, and pseudo-sophistication of moral relativism and political correctness. And consumerism have led so many young people to utter nihilism. Hell may indeed be other people, but that is also where one can find redemption, in relationships and community of some sort. Yes. Nicely said. Sierra says, being single is hard, but being in a relationship is harder. Yes, but in terms of learning something, I responded, for most people, we blindly choose relationships. That's probably why they're so hard. The less you blindly choose the relationships you're in, or if you mute yourself or have nothing to say or no thoughts by which to express, it's even harder. Make it easier. That's my message. Make your relationships easier. How? By this, the conversations we're having. Knowing yourself and knowing how to speak. I can't even pronounce the name. It's a Greek spelling, E-I-N. He says, my experience with being a nice guy is eventually girls will want to see me mad or angry. Yeah, I've had that too. Women provoke me because they don't believe how calm I can be generally. Or like I generally stay calm. This is my baseline. He continues, they know everyone gets angry and want to know if I did. Could they manage to deal with it? So they intentionally did things to anger me. I get irritated thinking, why is she doing this or acting this way? The last girl told me I was too nice and wanted to see me get angry. I told her I'm a logical thinker. I don't get angry randomly at things I don't know the motive for. Just stay around me long enough and you'll see what pisses me off. But I'm not going to fake it. That conversation made me realize why girls go for the bad ones first. They figure they've seen his worst already and just need to uncover his sweet side, where the nice guy must be hiding something from them, which makes them feel less safe around a guy. I think women aren't intelligent, like I said, enough to kind of reveal the real aspects of the guy. They don't pay attention. Women are so surface that they need to provoke literally anger to see anger, rather than actually read between the lines of more perceptual observation, where they can trust their own judgment to see, like, I can see a clearer picture of this guy's moral fiber and his values. No, it's like, hit him so he says, ow. Okay, now I know how he gets hurt. It's like, that's a very primitive, childish way. It's like a kid hitting someone, I want your toy. Sold to Bediers says, how can I begin to know anything new when all of yesterday is still inside me? That's a quote from Leonard Cohen. I like that. Anyway, guys, I haven't got time to read out all the rest of the comments. I think we've been going on for enough. Am I dating you? Just the guy says, not being interested in long-term relationships is not the same as being a Tinder guy. Meaningful relationships of different nature can be created between like-minded people. Sure, but if you fashion yourself, if you pattern yourself, if you're conditioned always in Tinder, you're drifting more away from the space. If you're never conducting yourself in long-term relationships, those two worlds can't exist at the same time, not for very long. Like, once you find someone you're interested in, like, what makes a person let go? And the more women who are in the Tinder space, they don't want to leave the variety of Tinder as well. So if you're part of the environment that keeps them shopping and rotating guys, you're going to have a harder time finding. So you've got to realize how you're part of the problem, and you're giving yourself a lesser chance of finding long-term happiness in sort of commitment if you want it. It's also like you're spending so much time on the variety of different women. Yeah, when you're young, but at some time you'd hope you'd sort of you get tired of wasting your time in a young man's space. Amorous says, human, the reason we can't get along is because we stop in both sides to see the other person as someone to provide a positive and meaningful experience. Yeah, we don't want to give. I mentioned in my last video, I really got the perception when that girl sort of looked at me. I mean, she could be just having a bad day, but I remember seeing that. I was just like in that mode, like I was just upbeat and I wanted to smile at people around me in the shopping center, because it was a good thing to give out to the world. Like, you know, hey, how you going? Smile. And she was just the complete opposite. And that notion that we push each other away is like, get away from me. What do you want to take from me? So unless someone's like a shining light of exactly the person they want, they're good looking, they've got the status and posture of some celebrity type figure that's attractive, like everyone else is a creep. Like, get away from me, you creep. You're not taking anything from me. But yeah, we don't want to provide anything. This is the thing. We don't want to give anything. We're just concerned about what the person's going to take from us now. And we don't care about being conscious to sort of, yeah, to mitigate risks. But we don't have any standards of what we'll give in. So it's just easy to say, like, get away. Like, I think everyone's going to take from me. Well, if you don't know how to give and all you think is someone's going to take, that's a very convenient binary nervous position to take. You're never going to have meaningful social interactions, or at least nothing deep. Bon Joe, thank you for the super chat donation. I appreciate it. He says, caught my ex cheating and moved out and field immediately. Oh, you basically caught your ex cheating and you moved out and you played the field immediately. Your friends are saying you gave up too soon. Like, there is a reason. Like, there are breaking points. So there are ways to work on you. Like, if you've invested in a relationship, yeah, that you try and talk through disagreements. You don't just pull the pin. You don't treat a girl you've been with for years the same as like someone you've just gone on 1 or 2 dates with, and they kind of blow up, and then you treat her like a stranger. Like, well, I don't like that. See you later. I'm throwing away our history. Like, You both deserve a conversation and trying to sort of work things out if you can. But if someone treats on you, that is like shattering the relationship. I can't blame anyone if like you kind of make it a point like, yeah, cheating is a line crossed and there's no going back. Something really big where they betray the foundation of trust of your relationship, that's really big. I bet you it was like girls that were telling you that you gave up too soon, Bon. That sounds like a comment like, oh, she made a mistake. Yeah, but I can't forget that moment anymore. I can forgive, but I can't forget. I can't pretend I didn't see or experience something. I really like that saying when someone says, I'm not mad that you either cheated on me or betrayed me. I'm not mad that you did it. I'm mad that I can't trust you anymore from this point. But you can. I can't. Yeah, but you can. I can't. I've seen it. You showed me that you crossed the line that you said you never cross. You betrayed a promise that was extremely important between us. Like, where's the line then? For a man, that's a very big line. Like, where's the line? Like, if I break my child's neck in a fit of rage and I go, babe, look, yeah, I made a mistake. Let's move on. I can't blame her from not getting over it, And that's an extreme example, but those people are trying to shame you and saying like, you gave up. It's like, those are real foundational breaks that it's almost impossible to look past it. How can you forget it? And how cold and uncaring are you to just, yeah, well, I can get over that. No. You have breaking point standards. And if someone willfully ignores them, if they cheat on you, and that's a big thing for you as it is for most people of trust, then I would not blame anyone for like, no, that's a line crossed, it's over. There's very little working out. And a lot of couples that try and get past it, they never do anyway. They just prolong the pain and they end up breaking up anyway. They just waste years of their lives. Emaris Rogelio says, I had an experience where a girl screamed at me just because I was being polite by opening a door. I had that happen to me in university. That's where I noticed girl power the first time in university, where I was just kind of, there was like a glass door, like, a lot of people were walking through, and like I was walking through it and I could see her on the other side. She was walking as well. So, it's a door that people used in both directions. And I kind of like, I opened it and I was like standing to the side and like I was letting her walk, and she kind of stood there and said, I don't need you to open the door. I can open it for myself. Thank you. And I was kind of frozen. I was like, what? I'm being nice. Anyway. Yeah, Pound Dog says to the comment of a woman cheating, I was drunk, you're overreacting. Well, no, you're still responsible for drinking. Sorry. Especially if a lot of people use alcohol as an excuse to let them do what they really want. A lot of people drink to be more relaxed and have the courage to do what they want when they're out anyway. So it's kind of, you want to do it anyway. Unless someone spiked your drink, and a lot of women there's a lot of false accusations that women use when an affair gets found out. They use the excuse of this person forced themselves on me. I didn't consent to sleeping with them. I did it against my will. They forced me, and the guy gets charged so she can avoid being accused as a cheater. Johnny says, my ex of 8 years had cheated early in their relationship. It took her 7 years to tell me. Oh, so she cheated in the first year of your relationship. It took her 7 years to tell me. Oh, so she cheated 1 year after you started going out. So 1 year into your relationship. It took her 7 years to tell me because she knew how I would react, and it was all somehow my fault. Yeah, it's funny when you see the desperation of someone, which again, I encourage you guys, learn how to speak and think. So then when you hear a woman trying to use her sophistry on you and gaslight you with her lexical ambiguity that somehow sounds cool and poetic, like, I loved you so much and I knew you wouldn't understand it because I respect us so much that I didn't want anything to go wrong. It's like blah, blah, blah. It's like a man who abuses his wife and says like, see what you made me do? Like when he slaps her. It's like, I love you so much. See what you do? See the passion I have for you? It's like, nice, nice vague artistry in your poetry, dude. Like, nah, you don't abuse someone you care about. All right, guys, let's wrap it up. I can't go through all the comments of but there were some other good ones. I might read them out next time. Hope you guys had a good time. It was a good stream. It's going for 2.5 hours. Let's wrap it up. Have a good Saturday evening for most of you around the world. Late Saturday evening. And for you guys here in Australia, have a good Sunday. And I'll talk to you next time. Enjoy your week. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell icon. And hit the like button as well. And I'll see you in the next video, guys. Have a good one. Take care.